Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Back to Back. I'm your host, Noah Cowan, alongside my co-host, Alex Kent. We're here to talk about the world of baseball on and off the field. It's great to see you, Alex. How have you been?
I'm just glad the baseball season started. Been waiting for months ever since the Super Bowl, and glad to talk about it with you. No one else.
We're back. We're back. Baseball is back. But let's get right into it. The top of the first. Over the last week, there have been several players signing extensions with their respective teams. Bogarts, Acuna, Marquez, Grichuk, DeGrom, Bregman, Etika. This spring alone, there have been exactly 27 extensions in the MLB. Are these players selling themselves short by coming to long-term agreements rather than waiting until free agency?
I think for the players it's good. Obviously, there might not be the same incentive in terms of just like they want the money, and once they get it, they might slack a little bit. I'm not going to name anyone in particular, but one guy who stands out with the Mets, or two guys actually, is Mo Vaughn in the early 2000s. And Jason Bay, I know he's a great guy and all, but with the Mets, he was really just a disappointment. Guys like Blake Snell, though, as you see, he won the Cy Young last year in the American League, and him getting the money was truly well-deserved. He's been underrated for years.
Look, you don't want to be Dallas Keuchel or Craig and wait until the season starts. It's best off to take that extension now, and then you are with your team for the foreseeable future, and you're a franchise player. And it's best to lock on these players when they're in their prime, when they're young, rather than sign them when they're in their mid-30s, like Pujols when he signed with the Angels.
Yeah, and even guys like Josh Hamilton, he had personal issues. He got a long deal too, and unfortunately couldn't play the games out because he had personal issues, like I was just saying. Just unfortunate career. I remember that home run derby from years ago, and promising talent just cut short. And even, I'm going to relate this to football for just a second. I know we're a baseball show. Le'Veon Bell, do we want that issue with one of the superstars of the MLB? Like, I know Trout got the extension, but somebody of that talent just sitting out a year because money issues with the team and the owners. So
it's pretty much a win-win in the end, and players are making money up front. Teams are locking in on these players when they're in their core, and it's best off rather than spending big bucks on one person for 10 years.
And just to say something in the owner's defense, for all that stuff, the owner's defense, I mean, that's their own money. I mean, if someone they don't believe truly deserves it and they don't want to give it, you can't really get on them. It's their money. They're billionaires. But at the end of the day, we'll just see what happens with all these deals. I mean, there's so many, just as you said, Acuna, so many people.
True. But one high note a week into the MLB season is the New York Mets. Yes, the New York Mets. After an eventful offseason by acquiring Robinson Cano and Edwin Diaz and signing Wilson Ramos, they're leading the NL East with a record of 5-2, tied with their NL East rivals, the Philadelphia Phillies. Are the Mets for real, Alex?
I mean, as a huge Met fan, I mean, we saw this last year. They were 11-1, but seeing on the screen right now, DeGrom last night was unhittable. He was like Doc Gooden in his prime, Tom Seaver, whatever Met legend, just filthy. Even threw a 95-mile-an-hour slider that we just saw right there. Insane. I mean, the Mets last year, I was saying 11-1, but this year there's just something different, have more contact hitters on the team, like Robinson Cano, who's going off to a slow start, but Jeff McNeil, the second baseman / third baseman, he's great to see. He actually got a hit today in their loss against the Nationals. Brandon Nimmo, slow start. That's the thing. They're 5-2 with a lot of these guys just starting a little slow, but this rotation, Thor, Syndergaard, DeGrom is I would say, the undoubted leader of this rotation now. Even guys like Jason Vargas 2 nights ago, he's the 5th starter on this team, and he's a good lefty to have, and I just enjoy seeing this for the Mets. And I think the rest of this rotation is trustworthy. The bullpen has been very shaky as well, but we'll see how this Mets team does for the rest of the year. Just wait too early to see.
Somewhat hot take. I think Jacob is the best pitcher since Kershaw from 5 years back. He looks like Bob Gibson in real life pretty much, and that pretty much goes to it. 26 consecutive quality starts, 2.88 starter ERA. When the starters are healthy for the New York Mets, they look for real. And if they keep doing this throughout the entire season, I think they can actually be playoff contenders.
And two things that worry me, and then we'll move on, is Mickey Callaway, their manager, who's known for how he treats the pitching staff. He's made some questionable moves, taking DeGrom out early sometimes. Mickey Callaway also, in certain ways, I'm not getting on him. He's had a nice first season last year as the Mets manager. Not amazing, but good. It's just sometimes, like, I remember the other day, Familia and Diaz were available, and he instead used Justin Wilson, who almost blew the game. And also another thing, their average last year at home was .215, and that's something that, today was earlier in the afternoon was their first home game, and it looked just as bad. Got shut out. Steven Strasburg just destroyed them today. So it's just get better at home. So moving on to another team in New York, a team that hasn't been on much of a high note since the season started, is the New York Yankees, and they actually won today. This team already has a whopping 10 players who were on the injured list to start the first week of the MLB season at 2-4. Noah, as a big Yankee fan, are you concerned with the start, or should we just look at this realistically as 6 games?
Last year, the Yankees were 9-9 to start season. Man, it's early. Come on. You cannot be concerned with the New York Yankees. They led the league in homers last year. Judge is coming back healthy. Oh, well, can I get it that they have over 10 players who are injured. They will come back. It's only April. I would not be worried. But they are trying to pull the ball. I don't get that one. It's more about getting on base. It's about the situal hitting, not the home run hitting. And I just think that when they get back healthy, you could see much more in them. And honestly, they should be in the playoffs.
One thing I want to add too, and I'm not saying injuries are good in any way, nobody wants injuries, but this is going to force the next man up mentality for the Yankees to really just see. I mean, we saw Gleyber Torres earlier today with that 2-home run game, no doubt, or game tying one. And we'll see what happens. I mean, the Yankees, they have so many injuries. Stanton, who they got last year, his first year, seeing him injured, he has a history of injuries. Not really bad ones, but he's been out a little bit when he was with the Marlins. But we'll see with the Yankees. I know Boone has done a good job with the team, too, after Girardi really established a sense of culture there many years ago, a few years ago, actually, I should say.
And, I mean, they had 5 runs in their 3-game set against the Tigers. They're much better than that, honestly. But like, it's the Yankees. They have Judge, Stanton, DJ, who they acquired.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that they can actually be a playoff team, and they can still go on to 100 wins like the entire league is thinking. And I'm just not worried. It's so early.
The one thing that I'll say about the Yankees too is Aaron Judge said before the season that they're going to break the home run record, and that's cool if they do. But I think they got to go for more singles. I know a home run really was the reason they won today, but singles, small ball is really what the Yankees got to look for. And then if the home run record comes, so be it. But we'll see. I mean, it's too early to judge. But yeah, that didn't really work. But yeah, nice pun right there. But we'll see what happens with the Yankees. I respect them as a Met fan. I could say that with really just an honest opinion. The Yankees, their legacy has been so long, even with the 50s, Mickey Mantle, all those guys, Roger Maris, just the Yankees. We'll see how they do. It's the Yankees. We know they'll bounce back and just have a good season.
CeCe's going to come back soon. Paxton's solid. I think that you can honestly see them getting in the playoffs with those acquisitions that they got. But coming up next on Back to Back, our team breakdowns. You won't want to miss that. Don't press that dial. You're watching Back to Back on WTOP.
The second I got on the campus, I knew Oswego was the place to go.
There's a place for everybody at Oswego.
This school just opens the world to you. Have the opportunity to explore and to learn so many different things, not only about yourself, but the people around you and the world.
It definitely is about the student. I felt it to be very about me.
Now that I'm here, I can't imagine myself anywhere else.
Everybody can make something, because I think everyone has a spark of creativity, and the reason that I have to keep making is because I don't think my life would be as fulfilling without it. If you make things yourself, that means you're not cowering in fear. You're out there taking chances. That, I think, is my way of saying I love you to the world. All right, now I want to hear why you make.
Share your own Why I Make story today. Visit whyimake.org.
David Richey. I mean, they were Ethan Price recovery, Tommy John survivor, Nathan Eovaldi.
Welcome back to Back to Back. That's why Back's there. About a week into the MLB season, there have already been teams that have caught everyone's attention and will be keeping an eye on. Let's break down a team from the AL as well as one from the NL. We'll start off with a team that's had the best record in baseball so far, the 7-1 Seattle Mariners.
And they're a pleasant surprise, to say the least. They traded away 3 key players from last year, and they lost also Nelson Cruz. He went to the Twins. Robinson Cano and Edwin Diaz went to the Mets, and then Gene Segura went to another NLS team, the Phillies. And they're 7-1 to start the year, as I just said. Tim Beckham is their new shortstop, and he was on the White Sox, never really gave time to develop. He's hitting .379 in the first 2 weeks of the season.
He's a great story in baseball right now.
Yeah, really is. I mean, I remember all the hype about him. He's in his early 20s, so he's still got a lot of time left. He's just, maybe, I'm not saying he's a prime yet. It's the first week and a half of April.
Former first overall pick, too.
Yeah, and you like to see these people develop, too. I mean, sometimes first-round busts happen, but the Mariners aren't seeing that right now. They're just going with young rotation. Marco Gonzalez has the most wins in the league with 3. And then their outfield, too. I think that's the highlight of their team. Domingo Santana, who's always been a good hitter. His fielding has been shaky at times.
11 RBIs, folks. 11 RBIs for Domingo Santana. What a trade that career worked out for Seattle.
Malik Smith, a great center fielder, has a ton of speed and is a great fielder as well. Jay Bruce, a right fielder, left fielder, wherever, also first baseman. He was on the Mets a few years ago. He's very hit or miss, but right now for the Mariners to start the season, he's been hit. He has a ton of home runs and just putting the ball in play, and that's what you'd like to see from Bruce, just not striking out, and he's limiting the strikeouts, what you want to see from him.
It's a pretty great April story seeing them 7-1. Like, I don't think any fan in baseball would expect a rebuilding team to be 7-1 like them. 3.36 pitcher ERA, which is fantastic, and I think they will not compete for a playoff spot this season, but I think in the foreseeable future, I think they look pretty solid with their young talent coming up.
Yeah, if you're a Seattle fan, you really like to see this, and just at the end of the day, who knows how their season will be, but it's just a sense of hope for the future. So now moving on to the next team, one of the teams in the best record in the league, and I'm not talking about the Bucks, I'm talking about the Milwaukee Brewers, who have been just incredible this year. And last year too, Christian Yelich won the MVP in the National League, and he's continuing his hot start. I mean, everything you see from them is just dominance, and I really enjoy seeing the Brewers be good. I remember the days of Prince Fielder and Ryan Braun. Ryan Braun's still on them, but not in his prime really anymore. But it's just nice to see them have a winning ball club.
Braun is not the best player. He has great leadership, though, in that dugout. Yelich looks like he's going to best his second half numbers from last season. He could be on pace to actually hit 50 homers. You know that?
That's insane. And
it's
Marlins
really
is a contact hitter, too. And he's really just evolved as a hitter. You like to see that. I know the ball, there's theories that they're juiced and all that, but that's a story for another day. But Yelich is really taking advantage of whatever they're doing, or just his hitting approach in general. But even guys like Josh Hader, one of the best lefty relievers, he had an immaculate inning last week. 9 pitches, 9 strikes.
Beast bullpen in baseball right now. And they don't even have the guy who got Tommy John surgery, Corey Knebel, recently. But Hader looks solid. His K per 9 is sick. It's over 10. There's also Jeremy Jeffress. He's great too. And their 333 on base looks solid.
I want to add something else now. Sorry to cut you off right there, but even guys like Mike Moustakas, moving him to second base enables the team to really just have more flexibility in the lineup. Like Travis Shaw could be at third instead of Moustakas.
Absolutely.
And the whole team, Jesus Aguilar, he's on first base, just power hitter, but he's gotten better in the field too. I remember last year he had some issues, but from what I've seen so far, he's just improved a lot.
If Yelich does win MVP back-to-back years, Derek Jeter is going to regret that trade like crazy.
I mean, yeah, he made a lot of questionable
I hope you're not
moves.
watching.
I'm sure. If he is, hi Derek Jeter, but I'm sure he's not. But Derek Jeter, the whole Marlins thing, what he did with them. Even Marcell Ozuna on the Cardinals is doing well, but we'll see with the Brewers. Definitely got a lot of good products. Yeah, got a lot of good products.
By far. And coming up next on Back-to-Back, we have some great fantasy baseball talk. Stay tuned. You're watching Back-to-Back on TOP. Do not press that dial.
We believe in patriotism. We believe in our country. For 100 years, veterans have been impacting our nation through the American Legion. Learn more at legion.org/webelieve.
It's back and better than ever. One student can win up to $25 in cash. All on Oswego's favorite game show, Spin to Win! Every Sunday night at 9, only on WTOP 10 TV.
Welcome back to the show. For the fantasy baseball fans out there, we have something for you. Our biggest takes on how we can make your team better. We'll be highlighting the notable players, matchups, and games to look forward to. We'll start off with the hottest players out of the gate. Alex, which player should every fantasy owner be starting in the lineup ASAP?
I mean, I think if you have him, you're starting him, but I'm just going to say it to start the obvious, is Paul Goldschmidt, who is one of the best first basemen in the league. And he's on the Cardinals now, first year being with them, and it was a big deal when it happened a few months ago. He hit 3 home runs last week, and I think that just says it all. I mean, Paul Goldschmidt, a great fielder. I know fielding in fantasy doesn't really matter. He's hitting .250 right now to start the year, but has 4 home runs and 8 RBIs. Paul Goldschmidt is somebody, if you have him, I mean, yeah, he's definitely a first or second rounder in the league that you got him, but you got to start him. He's Paul Goldschmidt, went from the Diamondbacks and went to St. Louis, and he's heating it up in St. Louis as well.
His 3-homer game caught me by surprise, but second baseman Yoan Moncada from the White Sox, .450 average, 9 runs scored. This may finally be that year that he breaks out. He wasn't that same guy in previous years. He'd bat like .230, but .522 on base. Boston will slightly regret trading him for Chris Sale. He looks like the real deal right now, honestly.
Yeah, he truly does. You're reading his on-base percentage in there and stuff like that, and I was just amazed by it. But yeah, you really made a good selection with him. The White Sox, also another team that really just in the building process, and glad to see them doing well.
Absolutely. And now the cold players, the ones who you should have dropped in your league by now. Alex, who are you not picking up?
I mean, Eduardo Escobar, as hard as it is to say, I remember he was on the Twins. Really good shortstop. He had 23 home runs last year, and the shortstop position is hard to find someone like that. I would say hold on to him, just bench him for a few weeks until he actually starts doing something. But right now he's hitting 103, and his on-base percentage is the same, 103 average on-base percentage. And it's just, he was actually started second in the order to start the year, and they actually moved him down to 5th, which is not a bad thing. 5th in the order is not bad, but they're just doing that to try to get his confidence, not as much pressure on him. So we'll see how Escobar does. Definitely promise with him.
I unfortunately drafted him in one of my leagues, but Miggy Cabrera from the Tigers, he's currently not in his prime anymore from his MVP days, but he's 4 for 27, a sub 200 on base. He's currently not in his prime, and I would take Goldschmidt over Miggy.
I mean, that's not even a question.
Miggy just doesn't even get on base anymore, and it's like, I mean, he is a Hall of Famer clearly, but this year is when he's not in his prime and he just goes down.
I mean, Miguel Cabrera is so old now. He's at least 38, 39 years old, and we got to respect him. He's a future first ballot Hall of Famer, Triple Crown winner. So this is just Miggy getting old, similar to Pujols, but all the respect to him in the world.
Yes, and now going on to the rookies. Which prospects are you going to snag during week 1 of baseball?
I think Bo Bichette on the Blue Jays. He's a shortstop. He was ranked the second phenom on the Blue Jays, or actually in the whole major leagues. And just nice to see his dad was Dante Bichette, not a Hall of Famer, but he was a really good player on the Rockies in the 90s. And that's really good to see a mentor. And he was actually named after Bo Jackson. I was actually just reading that. And that's just something, if you're named after Bo Jackson, you got to be something special.
Very interesting.
So
Shout out to all the Bo's out there.
I know there's one on the station here too, but Bo Bichette, definitely,
Yes.
if he's on the waiver wire, pick him up. He's someone that definitely has a 5-star ability.
Check out the left side of the infield for the Padres. Fernando Tatis Jr., top 3 prospect in baseball. He recently hit his first homer. He's a 5-tool player. Clearly, he has speed, pop, fielding, and on base of 355 so far. Padres' future looks bright, especially with Manny and Tatis being there. And I actually stashed him in my league literally 5 minutes after I got the news.
And one thing I would like to add is that Fernando Tatis Jr., his dad is Fernando Tatis, the only person ever in history to hit 2 grand slams in the same inning.
Nice. And now going on to the rookies, Last night, while the Nationals were playing the Phillies, shortstop Trey Turner,
he got injured, yeah.
Suffered a broken right index finger and currently has no timetable for a return. Alex, which middle infielder should a fantasy owner pick up to replace the first-round pick?
So I was going through actually our ESPN league just before, and this player's only owned in 5% of leagues. His name is Nick Ahmed, and he's on the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's hitting 281, and he has like 4 or 5 RBIs to start the year. He's having a solid start, and he's fast as well, steals a lot of bases. So he's just somebody, if you need somebody for Trey Turner, he's out for a few weeks. That's the minimum. So if you need somebody to just start a few games, throw him in there.
If you want versatility, pick up Kike Hernandez, second baseman and outfielder for your Los Angeles Dodgers. 435 average, 500 on base, 3 homers in 6 games so far to start the season. He's one of the main reasons why the Dodgers are the home run leaders, and he looks great right now. Honestly.
Yeah, Kike Hernandez, he has a lot of lore with the Dodgers, a few clutch postseason home runs as well, and he's a fan favorite. He's just very energetic in all the social media posts as well. So really
he's a very nice
pick him
Instagram out there. But
is anybody else though? Any shortstop? I was looking at Howie Kendrick and Wilmer Defoe, who are also on the Nationals.
Wilmer Defoe is definitely someone who I've been thinking about picking up for sure, and I think I should pick him up probably within when the show ends. But that just wraps about our way too early predictions on back-to-back. Up next, we'll take you around the bases on WTOP10. Stay tuned.
Hey, President Stanley, what's your favorite television station?
I don't know. Hey, guys, what do you think?
Guys, I don't feel so good. Shouldn't have had that chili for lunch.
The second I got on the campus, I knew Oswego was the place to go.
There's a place for everybody at Oswego.
This school just opens the world to you. Have the opportunity to explore and to learn so many different things, not only about yourself, but the people around you and the world.
It definitely is about the student. I felt it to be very about me.
Now that I'm here, I can't imagine myself anywhere else.
How do we afford all this?
Welcome back, everyone, to Back-to-Backs Around the Bases, in which myself and Noah will answer rapid-fire questions about the MLB and baseball as a whole. Are you ready, Noah?
Yes.
So far as the season has started, the pitchers have been raking, and all the Papa Slams and all that good stuff they say on MLB. Through 1 week, Jacob deGrom of the Mets, Madison Bumgarner on the Giants, and Zach Greinke on the Diamondbacks have all hit a home run. So who is the best hitting pitcher in the MLB right now?
The Angels pitcher / batter who is currently on the IL, Shohei Ohtani, quote-unquote baseball's Babe Ruth.
A little loophole right
22
there.
homers last year. He was the Rookie of the Year. When he comes back healthy, you'll see him hitting 20 homers and batting 280 and getting on base most of the time.
I'm going to have to go with, actually, I'm just going to say it, Bumgarner. I would say all-time Carlos Zambrano. He actually has 24 home runs. And Micah Owings, he was great too. But I would say Madison Bumgarner is the best. Babe Ruth, if you're going to go with that loophole too.
Oh, yeah, that's
Babe
true.
Ruth,
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so 45 years ago today, Hank Aaron, who is the so-called home run king with Barry Bonds, you could argue that. He tied Babe Ruth for the all-time home run record at the time. Is he the true home run king?
I mean, pretty much, yeah. I'll put the asterisk on Barry Bonds. People still vote him into the Hall of Fame. I have no idea why, to be honest. PEDs. You can't use PEDs. It's cheating. Does anybody know that?
Yeah.
And people still vote for him.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
Barry Bonds,
ridiculous.
I think that Hank Aaron should be in many people's minds. I understand that Barry Bonds did things that were unimaginable, but that was also with steroids, accusations, but like you could argue that he definitely
Hank
did.
Aaron, arguably one of the top 10 best players of all
And
time
he was classy
in
as
baseball.
well. He was amazing.
Very, very classy man.
Yeah, there's some stat too. I think not 1 year in his career he ever hit like more than 40 home runs.
True,
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
I did read about that recently.
So out of everyone in the league right now, who is the best shot to surpass Hank Aaron?
I would. Mike Trout. I mean, Mike Trout is the best player. He's gonna be around until he's 50. Honestly.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. And he's the face of baseball. He actually hits dingers, and yeah, it's got to be Trout.
I'm gonna say Trout, Harper, or Stanton. I would say just because you said Trout, I'm gonna go with Harper just because his raw power ability, and he's a lefty bat too in a friendly stadium. He's gonna be with the Phillies for a long time.
Overrated.
But I think Harper, Stanton, but he's hurt. But Stanton's raw power for a righty is insane as well. So it's all just Ken Griffey we saw in the late '90s, early 2000s. He would have made it there, but all the injuries when he was a Red.
As long as Giancarlo is healthier than what Ken Griffey Jr. was, for sure.
So this week, going to sort of, as we were talking about football a little more, we're going to relate it to baseball. This week there was footage seen of Tom Brady hitting a home run at Fenway Park in 2003. What athlete that doesn't play baseball would you like to see hitting dingers?
Can you tell me your answer first? I want to know yours first.
I mean, I saw Odell Beckham, and I'm a Giant fan, so when he did that, but I would like to see, maybe, I mean, he'd retire, but Yao Ming would be awesome from basketball. That would be cool as hell, a 7-footer just hitting bombs.
Michael Jordan, maybe? Like, I mean, he was in baseball. He was with the Binghamton team with the White Sox. I think he did hit one homer while he was with the team, but...
Well, yeah, Jordan played baseball in the White Sox, but yeah, are you talking about right now?
Right now, active players... Yes, I cheated a little bit. Let's say LeBron James. Why not?
I mean, yeah, LeBron can do everything other than make the playoffs with the Lakers this year, but let's settle this right there. But yeah, LeBron hitting a home run would definitely, he would be able to. I remember Prince Fielder, too, when he was like 13 years old before he made the MLB. He was hitting bombs out of Yankee Stadium. So even something like that, a prospect very young, would be cool. Bryce Harper, when he was in college, he was hitting bombs with a metal bat.
Bryce was solid.
Yeah, I mean, he's amazing.
But that just wraps up our... That wraps up our Around the Bases, but real quick, what matchups are you looking forward to this weekend?
I think this Saturday, the Cubs are going to be playing the Brewers at the Brewers Stadium. The Brewers and Cubs always have a fierce rivalry, and it's going to be really nice just Saturday night, turning it on and seeing the Brewers. I root for the Brewers in this game, but I like the Cubs as well. Seeing them win the World Series a few years ago, 2015, 2016
Saturday,
was cool.
Rockies, Dodgers, Walker Buehler versus John Gray. That entire series for the entire season will tell us who will actually win the NL West. And it's going to be tight, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, the
honestly.
Rockies are another team, too. As long as their pitching holds up in the stadium and cores, then they'll be a great team. Nolan Arenado,
Cores will be
Blackmon,
a solid advantage for sure. But from all of us here at Back to Back, I'm Noah Cowan.
And I'm Alex Kent.
We'll be back on April 18th. Have a great night, everybody.
See you. Have a great night, everyone.
Guys, I don't feel so good. Shouldn't have had that chili for lunch.
When you are in space, you can't run down to the store to buy parts. You have to improvise with what you have on your mission. Making is when there is something new that was not in existence at the beginning of the day.
Okay.
It's an incredible sense of accomplishment when you have made something. That's why I make. Now I want to hear why you make.
Share your own Why I Make story today. Visit whyimake.org.
Hello?
Josh, the stream's not working. We need you to fix it right now.
The stream's down? I'll be right there.